Bunting up again. Hardly seems 5 minutes, doesn't it? So, thank you. I'm not going to repeat too much of what Sue said. For coming out, it's going to be one hell of a few weeks. What we're feeling though, we've got people coming, I'm 30 years a Tory voter and I'm coming to vote for you. I've given up my Labour membership because I'm endorsing you and they're going to throw me out if I don't. So, if I don't resign. So, people are really quite excited. In a few moments, I want to talk about the way that the Tories are allowing the area to kind of, our local Tories, are allowing our area to drift into some kind of commuterville for Reading and London. And I'm going to talk about my vision, our vision, for what Newbury and West Berkshire could be if we had Lib Dem leadership here again. But before that, thank you this evening for listening. Thank you for coming to listen. There's just not enough listening going on in the world right now. And if there's one thing we're good at doing, we're on the doorsteps. The reason we do this is because we can listen to what people say. We don't just try and push our ideas onto them. You only have to look at the newspapers to see that the country nationwide, though, is in some kind of a nervous breakdown almost. We may have a little oasis of calm here, but across their own agenda, the Tories are continuing to drive wedges into our society. And don't forget, the whole referendum was called, the motivation in the first place was to placate the Tories and the divided people in that party. And look where it's taking us. As a party in government, they talk about strong economies, but maybe you know, maybe you don't, but what I hear is wages are down. We're not seeing general wage increases. We're not seeing the profits that we used to get when industry was thriving. They talk about the FTSE 100 and gross domestic product, but neither of those reflect what's going on in our pockets and in our hearts to a large extent. They're out of touch. They don't really care about welfare or well-being. We know that we've got local cuts, and sometimes, you know, we're reasonable. We try to cut the council a little slack and say, but look at the money that they're having to do without. But you know why they're doing without that cash? Because a Tory government, because George Osborne has decided to offload responsibilities from government onto local government. And local government is scrambling across the country to try and cope. We need to reverse that idea. We need to reverse the removal of that core grant. If you talk to a teacher or a doctor or a nurse out there, if you talk to a firefighter or a policeman, if you talk to the kind of people who reflect the backbone of our society, they're worn down. The word that I've heard being used is decimated. Now I will read this bit, because I've spoken to 2 primary school head teachers in the last few weeks, one in Basildon, one in Hungerford, and they are both resigning because they don't like the way that education is going in this country. The first is Paul Field. Now you may know him better as my rival Green, he's the Green candidate, but he's also head teacher at Basildon Primary, and he's giving up. He's driven mad by the cuts and the demands that are being laid on teachers and schools. And then there's Jerry Heaton, who's head of Hungerford Primary. Jerry was very clear about why he stood down, and this is what he wrote in his letter to parents earlier this year. He said, quote, "I am no longer able to condone the very many pressures that our youngsters are facing in what I believe is an inappropriate system of assessment and the ongoing reduction in school budgets. The unrealistically high levels of accountability and the overly narrow focus on maths and English to the exclusion of our youngsters' many other talents have moved so far away from my philosophy of education that I can no longer lead the school in the direction that the government requires." The there are a lot of people in our area who are not actually as well off as we are in this room. And these are people who often depend on the kindness and the understanding of the welfare system. And what they will tell you in the last few years has become less kind, less understanding. Some of you will know I have some deaf friends. These guys were born profoundly deaf, and surprise, surprise, they are still profoundly deaf. And they have to take a phone call once a year talking about their personal independence. They, and others like them, will tell you that life has become less kind and less understanding in the last few years. The word benefits has somehow become associated through the media with the word sponger. How do people in need suddenly become a liability? We are in danger of becoming a nation of the discarded, the disregarded and the dispirited. And this is not the Liberal Democrat way. This is not the way of the people here in Newbury. We do not leave our weakest by the wayside. We do not want people to be suffering and not to be able to get support from their local services. We want a nation that is included, involved and integrated, because we know that when we all work together for the greater good, we can make life okay, even if we don't have that much cash. We need energy and positivity and a bit of togetherness of spirit. Bonuses. You can't increase that and then singularly fail to enforce corporation tax. Now, Liberal Democrats are not anti-corporate. We are not anti-wealth, but we seek to strike a balancing note. We know we want good services, but we have to have a good, strong economy to pay for it. Always the common ground. That is where the Liberal Democrats live. And so to Brexit. Oh, Brexit. Here in West Berkshire, Sue just told you that, or reminded you, that we voted here to remain. 52%, it's a narrow majority. But I tell you what that means in terms of doors to knock on and people to speak to. 1,300 people voted to remain in our area. And one of the reasons they did that is because we fought a cross-party, united campaign. Richard Benyon, Johnny Roberts and myself were often together on the same platform. We still don't agree on everything else, but on that issue we stood together and people responded well. To those 48,000 odd people, I say, in this room, you all know about the costs of Brexit. I did have a nice long list of them, but I thought you might just lose the will to live before I got to the end. But you know about the cost of Brexit, and you know the devastating blow it will deal to our kids' futures. But what we're not hearing enough about is the 40 years of peace that's been facilitated by the European Union. 40 odd years of countries, good countries, working side by side to catch the criminals and to trade together. We trade with the EU. Our small companies in our town trade with the EU. And if they don't, their suppliers do. And this is what we found during the Brexit survey a few months ago, that the majority of traders in our area are concerned, worried about globalisation, as I know some in this room will be. Personally, I see no faster way to depending on the pockets of big business than putting yourself at the mercy of people like Donald Trump. So, our national debt has also risen while the Tories are in office. All these cuts and the national debt has risen. Brexit, though, is predicted to add another £58 billion to that debt. Just think how many £350 million a week to the NHSs that could pay for. But did you sign up for this? Did you sign up for this? The referendum, sure, was a protest vote. We know, but we cannot entrust change to the same people who caused the problem. We can't We can't have another Conservative, we will have another Conservative government, but it drives me mad, and we need to get as much opposition in there, as much vocal opposition in there as we can. And we need an MP in this area who will represent the people of this area too. For us to build on our established platform as a high-tech hub. We have digital and medical industries that are hugely successful. We have green economy industries and renewable, people in the renewable sector, who are great companies. And sideline, did you know that we have one of the world's leaders in making wave turbines works out of the airfield at Newbury? We have these industries here, and we want to build on that. We have that heritage too, a very sharp, modern, advanced heritage, and we want to work on that. I want to build on that. I want to see us nurturing our small business and start-up sector. We could make it really exciting to come and bring your company to Newbury in West Berkshire. We can do that. And if you're not sure, I want to look at the comparison between what the Tories have done in the last 12 years and what our lovely David Rendell, God rest his soul, did when he was an MP and he was supported here or working alongside a Liberal Democrat council. How lovely it is for us to have a community hospital. Not everywhere is that lucky. David Rendell led the charge. He successfully campaigned with the council to establish West Berkshire Community Hospital. He got the cinema here. The council opened the Corn Exchange after it had been shut by the Tories in the administration before. And I don't know if you got that email today. I got one from the Corn Exchange saying our future is in danger because the Tories are not valuing the arts. Parkway, Tories claim the credit for developing it and finishing it, but whose idea was it in the first place? Who had the ambition to see that we could come up with such an imaginative way of having modern shopping in a traditional town? It was a Liberal Democrat council that made that happen. And Greenham Common. How amazing it is that all that space was turned back into common ownership. A literal common where people can graze their cows and walk their dogs. We all own a part of it. It could have been built on. It could have been turned over to housing. But Liberal Democrat Council had ambition and an idea and a determination to see that through. And all of these things are to me a triumph of the Liberal Democrat can-do spirit. So first of all, I want an applause for everyone in the room who did that stuff, because it happened before I got here. While I was sitting listening to Sue, I glanced up at the boards here. You have no idea, well some of you will, but some of you newbies have no idea how many ex-mayors we have in this room. They're all sitting here, I can see them all now. I won't read them because it might embarrass them, but have a look and see who you meet. Anyway, sorry, hang on, where am I? So, can-do spirit, that's what we want to see. So, we have to fight the drift into Tory commuterville. I want us to build on the active, caring community that we really do have here to create a place where our children can thrive and where everybody, everyone, old or young, can aim high. So tell your friends. We depended that their local MP voted leave in Parliament. Then vote for me. Vote for a radical change of direction in our area. We need a change in our representation, a change in the level of ambition in our lives here, and standing with the Liberal Democrats, we can contribute to a change of direction in our country. So the last thing I'm going to say is, all of you people who said you're on Twitter and Facebook, you now have permission to get out your phones and do a check-in or a tweet and just take a photo. It doesn't have to be of me, it can be of the person next to you, it can be of the pretty placards at the top. But just do a check-in and tell people where you are and what you're doing. Tell them that you are standing with us and that you want a new future for Newbury.